Well, hello there, my friends and dear listeners, and welcome to what I hope will be a new and improved version of My Dog Will Eat My Face, as if there's any way to already improve it. Well, if you're a listener from back yonder, so to speak, if you're a regular listener, you'll have noted that I've been gone for some 30 plus days. Now, it wasn't a prolonged vacation again. Thankfully, this time I didn't go crazy and end up in a nursing home. So that is an improvement because that's happened. But this time, the issue was a technical problem. You see, creators like I that used quite laboriously the last platform and utilities that we physically use to record podcasts and distribute them, one day sent out a very happy message saying, well, we got good news. All that stuff you're able to do now, like record and distribute and edit your various podcasts is going away. But here, we're going to move to a new platform where you can do all that and more. And I was like, okay, well, great. So I waited for the new platform. I waited and waited. Meanwhile, I realized that the old version and the old ability to record and distribute podcasts was still up. On about day 30, I just said, forget it. I'm going to create a podcast using the old one, come higher, high ground. I don't know what they're doing. So I went back to the old caboodle, the old hardware and software, and boom, it was all gone. I no longer had the ability to do any of that. So then I finally went to the new provider, and it's been, what's the word? Less than perfect. This is actually my fifth attempt at distributing a relatively short version of my podcast. And I just hit my microphone, so hopefully that didn't kill your ears if you heard a bonk. No, I didn't just die. I bonked my forehead on the mic like an idiot. Anyway, yeah, so the new utility that I have to use is not very intuitive, and it further lacks features that I used to have on my old platform. For example, I can't do any more background music. I can't, well, I can add music as a separate track, but I don't really want to do that. I mean, that's kind of stupid and a copyright issue, I would think. But they hint that it might come in the future. So basically, they pushed me to a new platform that is less intuitive. As far as I can tell, has less flexibility and features, and breaks pretty much every other time I blink, it seems. But we'll get through it together, hopefully. So I'm going to create a really short update just to get a podcast out the door. I'm not going to invest like an hour of my heart and soul into something to have it not work and then die a terrible error death. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to try to produce today a quick update as to what's happened, more or less, as quickly as I can in the last few days, and try to get it out the door. So, it's going to be rough in the future, my friends. I'm sorry. There's going to be missing things. There's going to be bumps and bruises. We might even bleed a little bit. I don't know. But we'll get through it. So, that all being said, welcome back to the podcast. And with all that poured out into the universe, I'll switch to providing you a proper update as to what in God's name has been going on the last 30 odd days. Thank you so much in advance for your patience. So, where to begin with the last 30 days? Well, like I told you, I want to keep this relatively short, so I'm probably going to omit some details from here. Well, I know I'm going to. So, apart from me struggling with this new platform and trying to get things published, I also had some other kind of, well, gross issues within the last 30 days. And first of all, let me back up. It's been more of the same. It's unyielding fatigue, a dry cough, edema in my lungs, hoarse throat, an occasional dry cough like you hear there. So I apologize in advance. And really just a lot more of that. However, one particular event is one where it really underscores that things have gotten a lot more worse than I frankly realized at the time. So if you're a human being like me, you've undoubtedly been in a position or know of the general human characteristic to be in a similar position to when you're, say, watching something on the telly, something mindless, and you're at home, right? And you're just kind of zoned out, or you're reading a book, a recreational book. You know, you're just having fun. You're not doing this for your final tomorrow. You're just kind of chilling. You know what I mean? Or if you're just sitting there, a lot of people kind of do passive gestures that they're not even thinking of. They're not conscious that they're doing it, but it's just their nervous system doing repetitive nonsense that keeps it busy and you're not even thinking about it. For example, people might I don't know, play with their fingernails or bite their nails, maybe. I've seen people do that in meetings. It's just like, you got to hold off the biting on the nails for a meeting, guys. Come on. Anyway, but people just do like a passive thing. They might, if they're barefoot, they might be scratching at a mild callus or picking at it. Something, it's kind of gross, sure, but it's stupid, and we all kind of do it. Let's face it. Or at least a lot of humans do it when we're just not thinking about things. No one's around. You're alone. You're watching something you're into. And it's kind of zone out time for you. You passively do things with your hands. You know what I mean? I was in that sort of mood and experience. Nothing bad by any means. I was just watching something and was just letting my neurology passively do whatever it wanted to do, I guess. Like what a lot of people do. And what I found was I found myself with my right hand kind of picking at, this is going to get gross, guys, so I apologize in advance. If you're grossed out by any of this, you might want to just skip this whole stupid podcast. But if you're okay and you can stomach it, don't worry, it's not going to get that bad, but I'm just saying. Anyway, that useless and vague disclaimer out, but I was just watching something, and with my right hand, I was like picking at like some of my left toenails. I was flicking them with my fingernail. I mean, nothing like crazy. I was like digging into them with a screwdriver or something insane. I was just flicking at them with my hand nail and not thinking about it. A lot of people do it, but I felt that the nail was kind of long and sticking out, so I started to kind of jab at it with my right thumb. Long story short, I then went ahead and ripped off basically almost the whole toenail coming in from the side where I could get a grip on the nail, and then I would just tear it off with my hand up and over the nail. And then I pulled it up like, whoa, I just pulled out or pulled off a huge chunk of toenail. That's weird. And it didn't hurt at all. So I just kind of flicked it away on the coffee table, like, I'll clean that up later. It didn't hurt. It's like, whatever. And then I did it again. And so the next toe, I ripped off a big portion of the toenail. Again, no pain. So I decided I'm no doctor. That's not normal. You shouldn't be able to rip off your toenails casually and feel absolutely no pain. It's just not right. So I decided to bring it up with my hospice nurse that coming next visit, which was just in a couple of days. And I told her about it, and I said it was a lot like, it felt like I was tearing paper. That's really what it felt like. And to flash back a little bit, I've been losing a lot of feeling in my left leg. due to neuropathy that which was originally set off by some real heavy edema on that side of my body, of my leg, and in my feet on the left side. So, for example, my left shin and well, pretty much anything below the knee on my left leg, I can't really feel. Like if I feel it with my hand, it feels like I'm touching someone else's leg. Really creepy, right? And it does creep me out a little bit still, but it's just neuropathy. The nerves in my body are dying. So I've known this for a while. And so, first of all, my nurse was kind of freaked out, like, by the very fact that I could do that, just rip off my nails. And she's like, oh my God, well, I guess show me. What are you pulling off? And so I show her. And then they said, I decide, what better than to give a live demonstration? So to the fourth nail I'm on now, I think. And I do the same thing, and I just dig in with my left thumb and rip off that nail. Just rip it completely off, and there's blood coming out. I mean, literally, my hand is covered in blood in a little bit because just I ripped off the toenail, and it's bleeding all over, and I felt no pain, my friends, nothing. And so then my nurse started to freak out. She's like, don't do that. What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't hurt. I'm asking you. Is this normal? No. And then she starts saying, I'm going to pass out. I can't stand this. I'm like, why? She's like, I don't do blood. To which I responded, you're a nurse. And she yells back, I'm a hospice nurse, not an ER nurse. I don't do blood. So she almost lost it. But I put a band aid on the toe. It stopped it from bleeding. I threw all the materials away, the nails. I pulled, or the nail I pulled off, and whatever. And at that point, frankly, she was done. She folded her lap and said, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm like, are you serious? That's it? She's like, yeah, I got all I need. I'm like, well, what's causing it? And she said, it's just more severe neuropathy. The nerves now are so dead in parts of my extremities that I don't feel pain. So she also said that that is not unlike what diabetics deal with. So unfortunately, I was given the order of at least every 2 weeks for now. I should check my feet for, sores, injuries, things like that, because I could injure it and not feel it. And that's when you get real problems because then you could have an open sore and it gets infected and then, gets necrotic and then you lose your foot or something. It can become serious. Pain is a good thing. It's your body's way of saying, ooh, I don't like what you're doing. Stop. So without that alarm going off, I'll just continue to do whatever it is I'm doing that's not good. So I might be standing on an exposed rusty nail and not even think about it. Or something stupid. I don't know. That might be an extreme, but Anyway, so now she says I gotta check my extremities for damage, especially my feet, make sure there's no injuries, because apparently I'm not feeling the pain I'm supposed to feel. So that happened, and a few weeks later, up until actually today, the day I'm making this recording, she texted me and said, "Oh my God, on my day off, I accidentally ripped off part of my toenail, and I couldn't help but think of you." And she said it was bleeding all over. This is via text. And so I text back, "Oh, and I bet it didn't hurt at all, right?" And she wrote back, "No," with a big angry face. In other words, it hurt. It hurt her a lot. So yeah, that is a good indicator of the neuropathy in me getting pretty severe to where I can't feel pain in some places. So that's the best way I can think of to highlight how the last 30 days have been for me. Lots of other things have happened, but I'm going to limit it to that one story as a great example of how my last 30 days have been. Here I am tearing off body pieces and thinking it's hilarious while everyone around me is freaking out. I still think it's funny. Anyway, that's about where I'm going to leave that. Um, yeah, like I said, that's just a good example of how this last 30 days were. You can kind of extrapolate that into other venues and you can see how things have been going and you can see my attitude towards it. I'm very strangely relaxed and in a very good mood most of the time. And yeah, the only time I get in a bad mood is when I have delivery people disappearing into a black hole. That's the only time I get angry. But other than that, it's been pretty easy. And the dog actually helps. Not because he's eating in my face, but because he's just a little bundle of joy and affection and cuddles, and he's super. But I'll leave it at that. From there, you can, as I said, extrapolate your imagination for how other things may have gone. But much like the toenail story, you probably don't want to hear it. Well, on that note, my friends, as I said, I'm going to keep this podcast very short because I wanted to go out the door and do its thing, go through all the appropriate uplinks to the same channels I had it designed to do before I get into some larger topics, which actually I have had on the burner and I have been wanting to get into a little bit more. So I've reserved those for at least getting this thing to work correctly. And I'm only barely to the point I think to get things out the door. I'm saddened because a lot of this has been a huge step back. Uh, Basically, abilities I once had and relied upon are no longer there, not doable. So they took away something that was functional and worked fine and replaced it with something that doesn't have those same abilities anymore. But be that as it be, I have to endure it. And I guess I shall, amongst so many other things. I'll add it to the list of things I get to endure, and then we'll all be happy. But thank you for chiming in and listening and being so patient. If you've sat there for 30 days waiting for an update, get an update last week and it was all blank except for some music that was not meant to go out, and then wait till this week to where you just get a gross toenail story. I have to say, you're a true fan, or maybe not even a fan. What's another word is better? You're a you're a real sick human being, and I mean that as a term of endearment. I think you're spot on. I think you're awesome. So I really thank you, and actually, in all seriousness, do appreciate you for being so patient and wading through this quagmire with me. Like I said, hopefully this current format and output is not final. I hope to God they bring back some functionality that we've lost. And maybe, hopefully, things will improve later on. But at least if this works for now, I can at least still get my voice out there and bother all of you good people. So, with that said, I'll try to be in touch as best as I can. But for now, I must say, auf Wiedersehen.